Hey, time to shine varsity squad at Scott Ferguson, and we are in about 9,575 days of quarantine, and I got my really good friend here, Krista Moore from K Coaching. She has fantastic knowledge nuggets that she's about to drop on all you listeners out there. I vetted this lady out. I've been waiting for this interview probably for about 35, 40 days, and she has the time, and she's here. And Krista S. Moore is the president of K Coaching, Inc., founded her company in 2003 to inspire others to reach their full potential. Today, she continues to do that through her book, Race to Amazing, which is fantastic. It would Race to Amazing, your fast track to sales leadership. Hosting the Krista Moore Talk Show, you have to tune into that. That will be in the show notes. Leading retreats, which we're going to dive into that, and sharing her motivational stories throughout the world through kcoaching.com/speaking. And Krista, thank you so much for making time for us. Please say hello to the squad. But first, what is your favorite color and why?
Hello to the squad. And my favorite color is green.
Green, okay.
Yes.
And why is that?
Say, because how it makes me feel.
Love it.
When I'm out in nature or just kind of like running through the grass. I was just playing with my granddaughter yesterday. We were running around in the grass without our shoes on. And I don't know, there's just something about that color.
Isn't that beautiful? It's in your color wheel too. I mean, if you're watching this on our video, you see her beautiful red hair. The green would go with that fantastic bit. Let's go back to a little bit about your origins, where you got started and how you got to K Coaching and the Krista Moore Business Web Talk Show.
Sure. Well, I was in corporate America for a lot of years. And I tell the story around my boss picked the wrong day to tell me to shut up and sit down. I was at a point in my life where I was stressed, overworked, trying to be super mom, traveling all the time. And I was driving into work and just not feeling it. I'm thinking something's got to change. And that day happened. And when I left, that's when I left corporate America. And I needed to figure out what I was going to do with the rest of my life. I was a major breadwinner and 2 kids in middle school. And that was a big turning point for me.
Okay. So what the aha moment was, you just went and told the boss to shove it, or did you move on slowly, transition over, or how'd that work?
So I was the VP of sales for a very large Fortune 500 organization.
Okay.
And when he told me literally to shut up and sit down in a meeting, and he had an anger management issue, and that's like a whole other story.
Gotcha.
But when I left, I just never went back. But when I got in my car, I felt so free, like, okay, I'm free to be me. And then I just needed to really figure out who I was. And that's when I went through some real introspection on what was I doing when I was 10? What did I dream of? What did I love? What are my God-given gifts? And what would I do every day if I didn't get paid? And so I just really started doing that, what I refer to as self-discovery. And from that is really what launched K Coaching. And so I started my own business shortly after leaving my corporate job and started it from scratch in the extra bedroom in the house. And that was 17 years ago.
I say it's 2003. So you were working pretty high level in a Fortune 500 business. So what did your family think about that transition? Were they supportive? Were they there for you? What were they thinking?
Well, I think they were thrilled that I was no longer going to be traveling and being away. I could be there for dinner and all of that. But my marriage was on the rocks because I had done so much traveling and wasn't there for the family and wasn't working on my personal life, that 3 weeks after I quit my job, I left my husband. Okay. So there was significant change going on in our family. But I have to say that it was just an amazing shift, and I hate to even act excited about it because it was really a difficult time, but it was great for everyone. And my daughter, who is now 28, told me just the other day, do you remember, Mom, that day that you quit your job and I pretended I was sick the first day you were home so that I could spend the day with you.
Oh my
And I didn't
gosh.
realize that she actually faked sick that day, but I remember her staying home with me that first day after I had left. And, so net
That's
net,
ironic that she was probably 10 at the
she
time,
was
9 or 10.
10.
So like with your
Actually,
whole
she
10-year-old
just turned
self,
11, just turned
okay,
11.
gotcha. So that's kind of ironic with that. So while you're working your way into the coaching business and you have the experience of 17 years that you have right now, what do you really think makes a good coach?
A great question, because I thought I had a kind of a coaching style of leadership,
Mhm.
and I had an executive coach for leadership and development when I was in corporate America. So I had some exposure to what that feels like and the impact that a coach can have on someone's, profession. So I understood it, but I felt like I needed to have my own methodology.
Okay.
So I did go to UNC, University of North Carolina,
Mhm.
for a coaching certificate and curriculum so that I could, rise out of that with my own style, my own method.
Love it.
And that was important to me. And so it was a combination of my experiences as a sales leader, my experiences of getting thrown into sales management without having any training, because I was a good
Right.
salesperson. They made me a sales manager. So it was through all of that that I realized that there there are so many sales managers and sales leaders, business owners that need a coach, that
Sure.
really need someone to help them move through their career and also impact others. And, really, they don't need to tell their employees to shut up and sit down.
Right. So if I'm out networking when that's actually allowed again, press and flesh, meeting people, and I'm talking to somebody, what am I listening for to know if they're a good prospect, contact, connection, or referral for, Krista Moore?
I think that today, in my kind of the evolution of my coaching practice, it's those entrepreneurs in particular that are really struggling with health, wellness, stress. They're maybe not happy and they're trying to figure out what's next. And those people that really have a lot of aspirations and dreams, whether it's a vision for their company or for themselves personally, and they just need to put it into action.
Love
And
it.
they want someone to be a sounding board and have great coaching conversations to take them through a process to where they can actually make the changes and the shifts that they need.
And I love that you say that because it means you're not cookie cutter. So, okay. So with that, I'm going to kind of have a follow-up questions. Like, so you bring somebody in, they're meeting the criteria of they're struggling with health and wellness and stress, maybe need some like kind of stress release. They reach out to you whether through a referral or whatnot. What is your secret sauce, if you don't mind sharing, about helping yourself and them to locate that blind spot to push them through?
Great question. Um, First, it's three phases. It's three steps. And first and foremost is, what were they doing when they were 10 years old? Who were they before the world told them who they should be? What did they love? What were their dreams? What were they great at? And that doesn't mean that they need to all of a sudden start doing that again, but it's why and how that make you feel, and what was it about horseback riding that you loved. And so it's being able to, number one, understand and get clarity on who am I at my core. Where was I and what was I doing at that innocent age, and tens metaphorically, but at that innocent age of where purpose and passion met. And then there was social pressure and influence and people, telling you you should be a doctor,
Sure.
or because your dad was or whatever. So that's a big part of my program and process.
Okay.
And
Well,
then I call that kind of clarity, just getting clarity around that.
sure.
And then the second phase is looking at all your life your experiences, your highs and lows, the lessons learned, and really looking back at your life journey.
Okay.
And when were you at your highest and lowest, and what relationships were important to you? And so we kind of deep dive into your life's journey. And from that, we call it playing connect the dots. And then we say, okay, how can we go backwards to move forward with more purpose and passion and meaning?
Love that.
And it's just been phenomenal. It's what really, really resonates with everyone is that there is a connection.
Sure.
And I've interviewed thousands of people over the years on this subject and have these really cool stories. And there's, a lot we know about some famous people, but just everyone
Sure.
has something that they can shift or change to feel more meaningful, to have more purpose, and have more joy in their life.
That's phenomenal, because you're not only listening with your ears, but you're listening with your eyes and all the senses to really pull them forward. I have a question on that, though. There's a thin line, I would think, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Mhm.
of navigating their past, because if you're going in
Yes,
their past, it can be really ugly for some people, right?
absolutely.
So what is your, again, secret sauce if you stumble onto something that and kind of pull them out of that, so they continue with you on the the right spiral, not the downward spiral, the upward spiral? Like, what do you do if you run into a situation like that?
Well, I have run into that situation and ran into it really early on. So let me also say that not everybody's 10-year-old was happy, right? I mean,
Right.
there's trauma, and
Sure.
there's way more than we know. We all have our crap,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
Um, Now, I like the way that you framed that question, because what I learned early on is I'm not a therapist. And some of this
Good.
stuff is therapy. Like whenever you're going backwards like that, like often it's like, so tell me about your childhood. I think it's important. This is a good segment to tell you that where this 10-year-old self concept came from was just a culmination of a lot of things. But one of them was when I was having a crisis in my entrepreneurial journey, went to a therapist, and she asked me, what were you doing when you were 10?
Really?
And that was at the same time I was publishing my business book. And I
Yeah.
have so many stories of my 10-year-old self in here.
Sure.
My publicist said, oh, there's another book in here about this whole 10-year-old stuff. So this is kind of how it all came up. But we had our first retreat last June in the south of France. Gorgeous retreat center. It incorporated the Be 10 Again, the 10-year-old self program, along with yoga, and the therapist was there. And
Love it.
I could not have done it without her, because there was some trauma immediately surfacing in that group.
Good.
I've had since then many retreats where it doesn't get that way, but I feel like the secret sauce is the combination of having some, professional therapy there. It's like a great
You have
combination of
to
a
have it.
business coach and a therapist. Like,
Yeah. And not be afraid to reach out of your comfort zones, in a sense. And like my good friend Leah Woodford, says, get your asking gear, kind of ask, for help in different areas. I love that. So let's get into, with Marty McFly, let's get in our DeLorean. Let's go back to the 22, 23-year-old Krista. I don't know if it was more then, but let's go back to the 22, 23-year-old Krista. What kind of knowledge nuggets are you dropping on her to help her maybe shorten the learning curve to level up a little faster?
um, I've done a lot of reflection on this, because this is what I do. And I wouldn't change anything. And I know that, some
Oh,
people would say, I just wouldn't. I mean, I got married at 23, way too young, but look at the outcome of that. It's
sure.
just my wonderful children and where I am today. And so it's all part of my journey. It was all part of the lessons that I needed to learn in my lifeline to be sitting here talking with you today and sharing with others. So, the one thing, someone says, you ever have any regrets? I really don't have any regrets, but I want people to also realize that it's okay.
Sure.
Um, for example, when I was 20, I had a television talk show in college. I was going to be the next Barbara Walters. And that's what I wanted to be when I grew up. But my path didn't take me in that direction. I ended up in sales and sales leadership for, 19 years.
Sure.
But
Look at you
2 years
now.
ago in my business, I said, you know what? I always wanted to have a television talk show. Even
Right.
when I was 10, I pretended I had a television talk show. So I'm going to have one. And that's when I created the Krista Moore Show.
Right. And you
So
circled right back to it. So it's sitting
yeah,
in your subconscious mind, ready to be released at the right time.
right.
You know?
It's at the right time. So
Yeah.
I think if there's anything learned, I would say, just let life live through you
Wow.
instead of trying to arrange it.
Nice. So you've accomplished a lot. You have the talk show, you have your client base, you're very well respected. Is there anything big thing that Krista really wants to accomplish before she transitions?
Yeah, it's a perfect question for me at this time because I'm going through a transformation myself. So K Coaching is doing great. We've been in business for 17 years,
Sure.
and we have a membership site with over 3,000 people that
Love
access
it.
it for online learning. And so I've got this, the company's running on its own, so to speak.
Hmm.
I want to concentrate on myself, and I'm looking at rebranding more of this heart work instead of hard work, as I put it, where I want to go deeper with my clients. And it borders on like life coaching a little bit. And I'm a business coach, I'm an executive coach.
Sure.
So it's kind of a strange transition for me, but I want to do it powerfully and gracefully, transition into, for the next 10 years, something that is more coming out. Coming out as the
You're
true
growing,
me.
just like your color green. You're blooming, you're growing.
I'm blooming, I'm growing,
I love
right.
that. I love that. So time to shine today. I make every one of my clients and students, um, we talk about their dash a lot. Okay. You have your life date and your death date, that dash, that's where everything's lived. Okay. How do you want that dash to be remembered for Krista? How does Krista want her dash to be remembered during the time that you're on Earth? Your epitaph, if you will.
I really having impact in terms of inspiring others to be their best, to be them, not somebody else, to not give up and be you and let life live through you.
Love that.
Yeah, I think I'm more about the impact that people have and that I could have on them than really anything else. Like when they're
You're a
done with
go-giver.
hearing me speak,
Yeah.
I love it when someone comes up and says that I changed their life or
And
they're going to do something
it's
different.
fantastic.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
what I
that.
live for.
So let's take your cell phone, computer, laptop, tablet out of everything and just quickly tell me 3 things that Krista can't live without outside of those.
My granddaughter,
Oh,
she's almost 2 and she's 5 minutes from me.
yay.
I could not live without her. I don't think I could live without my quiet time.
Okay.
Like I like Krista time, whether it's relaxing in the bathtub, whether it's going for a walk in nature.
Love it.
And really the other thing is this face serum from Clarin. It's
Oh,
like
really?
liquid gold. And
Yeah.
I wear it every day and every
You're
night. And it just
glowing. It
feels
works.
so good. I love it.
Love that. Krista, what is your definition of a life well lived then, after everything we've covered?
Wow, that's a deep question, isn't it?
We get down to it here at Time to
I
Shine.
think a life well lived is being able to discover your gifts and your God-given gifts and your purpose at some point, whether that's early on or later in life. But a life well lived is the journey and the experiences to get to that moment.
So
And, there's so many people that just that don't pay attention to that.
they don't
And
pay
they don't
attention to that
realize.
dash. There's so much journey in that life that they could be living. That's why I'm writing a whole book about the dash right now. That's fantastic. You have been also. We're going to get into our level up lightning round as we wind things down here. 5 or 6 questions. You and I could talk for 15, 20, 30 minutes in each one of these topics, but you got 5 seconds to answer. First thing that comes to the top of your head. You
Okay.
ready?
Yes.
Here we go. What's the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
Go to management school.
Love that. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
I do FaceTime with my girlfriends and do a high impact training every morning.
That is beautiful. Staying accountable, have your mastermind. That's phenomenal. Other than your own book, okay, and no flavor of the month book, nothing like that, but that one book that might be sitting in your library that if I didn't know you and you came to me and said, Scott, I think you need to be reading this book, what is it?
Elizabeth Gilbert, Big Magic.
Really? Love that. I've heard of it before, but you're the first one ever on my podcast to say that's fantastic. What's your most commonly used emoji when you're texting somebody?
The little yellow face with the blowing a kiss heart.
Love it. Okay. If you could be one age for the rest of your life, what would it be?
10.
Yeah, there you go. I knew you were going to say that. That's why I added. If you look at my notes, I added that question on here. All right. Just was testing you there. What's your favorite charity and or organization you like to give your time and or money to?
I like Dress for Success.
Beautiful.
Yep.
And last question. It's kind of a toughie. What is the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
Oh, definitely 70s.
Me and you are going to hang out sometime. Love it. Love it. 70s rock. All right. So how can we find you, Krista?
You can find me on LinkedIn and also on the Krista S. Moore Facebook page. I do a lot of posts there.
Gotcha.
And today it's kcoaching.com.
Okay.
In 5 months from now, it's kristamore.net.
Got it. I love it. And also, you'll always still have Krista Moore Talk Show, or we still get run with it?
That's not going away.
Gotcha. And squad,
Every
all of
Wednesday
those
at
every
2
Wednesday,
o'clock.
every Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Beautiful. Put that in your calendar, squad. And
it's also, I wanted to mention too.
Sure, please do.
It is live at 2 o'clock on Wednesday. Intentionally, I want people to take 30 minutes out of their workday, kick their feet up, and experience the show.
That's fantastic.
It's available on YouTube and GoToStage.
Yeah, I watched. Let me see which ones I watched. The last one you did. I think it was Miss Maddie or something like that.
Oh yeah.
I did watch that one.
Great.
And then Wendy Wilson or
Wendy Thomas.
Wendy Thomas. Yeah, watch both of those. They're enjoyable. They're informative. They're fantastic. So. All of these links, folks, will be in the show notes below on every podcast directory and on my website page as well that'll be dedicated to Krista. Krista, please leave us with one last knowledge nugget that you want the Time to Shine Today's squad to take with them, internalize, and maybe make part of their credo.
Sure. Something that I learned is, I'm passionate about learning, developing, growing, constantly doing that. And there's a variety of ways. But one thing that I've learned is that a retreat type format for experiential learning can really create transformation. So I would encourage anyone in their industry to look at retreats within their industry, or maybe it's personal retreats for personal reflection, but we've got to get away from our cell phones and our computer and our office.
Thank you.
And we've got to retreat. And that's going to make shifts in life.
Love it. So get out there and get away from the technology and really get in tune with yourself. And with Krista Moore, she's so humble, yet so hungry. She has some powerful questions that you can ask yourself. What would you every day if you even didn't get paid? If you're struggling with health, wellness, stress, reach out to K Coaching. Ask yourself what your 10-year-old self. I want to leave that to Krista. but really get with her regarding your 10-year-old self, because it's a fantastic platform that she has. Ask yourself who you are at your core. Let life live through you. I have notes just coming out of my ears here. Heart work more than hard work. Just be genuinely you and discover your gifts, God-given purpose, and enjoy your journey. And Krista, thank you so, so much for coming on the show. You can't leave us now, so we really, really appreciate your time, and we're grateful and blessed.
Thank you so much, Scott. I really appreciate it. Being
Excellent.
a
Bye
guest.
now.
It's fun.